I've been introduced already, but I must rectify a little bit. So I'm in the Directorate General that deals with the internal market, industry, entrepreneurship, and SMEs. But in the past, it's true that I made my way in different DGs. So I've been working in DG Research on IT projects, in the S3 program in the past, DG Education and Culture, which is relatively close to employment. But now I'm in DG Enterprise Industry for quite some time. And what is interesting with the New Skills agenda, that it brought together different Commission services to work on a joint initiative and joint activities. So this is why I'm very happy to be here, and I also have the opportunity to learn people who are working for another agency, because we have our own agency in DG GROW. And here I must say that the colleague of Pavel and his colleague are very good and very supportive to the work that we want to do. Who believe that IT professionalism is not important? It's a pity, because I thought I would make a conversion after this session. So I've been active on this activity for some time myself. I wrote the communication on e-skills for the 21st century in the last decade, and with COSM and the program, which is the program that DG GROW manage, and with also standardization activities, we have been able to support this activity for some time. And here I would like to bring your attention to two people that unfortunately passed away in the past. The one is Burkhard Sellin from Cedefop, who had established with Wolfried Stucki the SEN workshop on ICT skills. So Burkhard passed away last month, unfortunately, but he was retired for some time. And I want also to give credit to Clementina Marino, of course, who had been the engine behind not only the ECF with other experts, but also this project that we are talking about right now. And she passed away in 2015.
Just a few months before the ECF Council project was started.
So she could not see this, but she was very much behind this. So I want to position the work on IT professionalism with the bigger picture about what needs to be done and what is ongoing regarding digital skills. Because we keep hearing about all these jobs that will disappear due to artificial intelligence, due to automation, etc. And it's to some extent a paradox, because if you look right now, the employment situation, especially in the US, it's the lowest employment rate we have witnessed since 1969. So it's quite a paradox to talk about massive unemployment, where at this point in time people are struggling to find applicants for jobs. But we need to anticipate, and it is true that the current situation is somewhat artificial due to the very low interest rates. So when the interest rate will increase, and when the impact of automation and artificial intelligence will be felt, then we will find ourselves in a difficult situation, especially the people who are in the middle, because there will still be a lot of jobs, I would say, that will not require so much skills. The problem is that they will not be paid very much. The type of contract will not be necessarily very attractive, and the condition of work will not be very nice. And unfortunately, many people will not be ready to take those jobs. On the other hand, we all know that in the future, the level of skills will need to increase. So there will be the situation that people will be confronted with jobs that they don't want to take, and jobs that they cannot take because they lack the skills, the competence. And it's not just only an issue of soft skills, it's also an issue of hard work, because indeed people will need to be competitive, because they will have to compete not only against the machine, but also against a global workforce which keep increasing with estimate of 3 billion people. So they will have to compete with different competitors. Now if we look about this pyramid, so I would say that here you have the basic users. So here definitely people need to know how to use the mouse, how to make search on the internet, how to use some productivity package, office automation, and things like that. So I think this is basic. I know that in the past CEPIS had developed the ECDL, so that's very much fitting into these kind of things. So this entry point, people need to know how to operate and use computers and make search, etc. And then you have the advanced users. And here I want to challenge a little bit the remark that has been made regarding training, because the question of training is not so much to send people to training somewhere. They are learning something and you don't know how they will be able to use it in your company, and then they decide to go elsewhere. The question of training must be embedded in investment. You bring a 3D printer, you bring a new machine, you bring a new process, you invest in it. You need to make sure that people can operate with things. And then the kind of digital skills that people need to acquire are closely related to this new way of doing things, to this new task, to this new way of operating. So then the risk of people leaving is much lower. At the same time, of course, they see the opportunity for them to be more employable. So I think we need to requalify a little bit this risk. And I would say this is for the users and the advanced users. Now, if we look about the IT specialist, and we are moving to the blue top of the pyramid, what I could call also the leaders, but let's talk about the IT specialist. This is where we have the biggest challenge, because these are the people whose creativity, innovation capability can really make a big difference. If you look about all these big software companies and software platforms, which you always find some genius, some people who are extremely clever, who design big things. And then of course there were numerous engineers to help, but still the issue is very much talent. And there is a competition for worldwide talent. And the reason why I believe we need to strengthen professionalism, we need to mature professionalism, because we need to better communicate to the society, to the young people, to their parents, to the teachers, the need to grow this digital talent pool, because this is the only way for Europe to distinguish itself and to be competitive in a global economy. So these are basically the figures that we are talking about. So the 8.2 million IT specialists, and here I would say that not all of them have gone through a fully fledged IT education, computer science, data science, you name it. Many of them have taken courses after having followed, education in, well, if we are lucky on mathematics, but sometimes in history or whatever. It's not that much a big deal. The only problem is that they may lack the foundational knowledge and expertise when they will need to adapt. So then you will need constantly for them to follow courses. So this is why I believe that we need to increase the quality, the attractiveness of IT education, and especially of computer science. And I wanted to show this curve. It's the IT workforce in EU, because you see that in 2007, 2008, this is the start of the crisis. So you would have expected that there would be a decline of investment, a decline in demand. Just like it happened when the dot-com boom crashed, there was indeed a decline in demand. But the good thing is that the workforce in the EU keeps growing. The demand keeps growing. I mean, that's a very important thing. For those of you who may remember the dot-com crash, there was a bestseller and a very famous article in Harvard Business Review from Mr. Carr, who said IT doesn't matter. And the message it gave to young people was extremely negative. And then you have a dramatic drop in the number of people entering computer science studies, 20–30%. So you imagine this drop at the time where the demand was still there and unmet and unsatisfied. And this is still, we are still fighting with these kinds of, I would say, fear stories, because again, around 2007, a little bit earlier, there was this whole discussion about offshoring, that all the jobs will move to India or to Asia, and then we would not need people studying computer science anymore. And again, it gives a very negative message to young people, and again, you have declining application. So I think we need really to make greater progress in conveying messages to the public to describe what is the future of this profession, and to start with, what is this profession? When we look about IT professionals, this is a survey that has been made by a market research organization, IDC, last year. So typically the problem is cybersecurity. At my time, when I started my career in '85 at IBM, cybersecurity was mostly the threat from a rogue employee, an IT worker who is not happy and want to sabotage or want to steal things. Because there were not so much networks, there were not so much communication, there were not so much also, I would say, secret service or sophisticated or malicious organization who wanted to steal data, ransomware and whatever. These days, I mean, these are mushrooming, and you keep hearing about crashes, data being in the black market, etc. Recently, Google said that they would close their Google Plus system because there was a massive breach, etc. So cybersecurity is very important, and it will become extremely important. It will become vital. So, and all these things are not things that you can learn in a crash course of 2 weeks. This requires knowledge about architecture. This requires engineering capabilities. So this is again not something that can be done quickly and dirty to make sure that we provide some basic skills. Now, if we look at the update that of the forecast on supply and demand, we have supported these kinds of effort for some years. And the good thing is that we are updating them regularly. And the good thing is that the kind of gap which was forecast in the past is very close to what will be the more or less actual figures, because we are talking about 2020. 2020 is almost tomorrow, because whoever enter a Bachelor of Computer Science will not come before several years, so with a Master or PhD. So it's interesting to note, though, that actually the demand, when we look at 2017, it has been forecasted that there will be a gap of 450,000 by 2070, and the gap is close to 600. But the demand is increasing, but the supply is increasing, and this is what I was talking about. These are lateral entries, so they are not people who go with fully fledged education. There is an increase of the supply, I would say, the fully fledged educated IT specialists, but most of the supply these days comes from people who get all sorts of courses. So when they are lucky, they get courses from well-established IT organizations, the Cisco, the Microsoft, the IBM, the Amazon, etc. Because these are certification and training which are recognized everywhere. But sometimes they get training, I don't know, someone that just established and the training is not worth and the certificate is not worth the paper that is being given at the end. So there is a lot also of, I would say, kind of dirty and poor quality training which is offered. So here the question is how we discriminate between the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is something that we will need to continue in the future. The good news is that we won't need always to wait for Eurostat, because there are increasingly tools that help to search vacancies on the web using big data technology. There is also increasing news source coming from LinkedIn. They have developed the Economic Graph project, and they are providing on a monthly basis information about the evolution of the workforce, especially in the US, but I'm sure this will come also in Europe rather soon. So, as far as the demand and the supply is concerned, I mean, we will be able to monitor very, very closely, and we'll be able to monitor to even the particular area, the Milano area, the Munich area, the Brussels area, who is coming, who is leaving, who is joining the workforce, what kind of certificate do they have. Of course, it doesn't tell much about what will be in demand in 5 or 10 years' time, but this is where scenario building, discussion with experts, collaboration with different stakeholders makes sense. That's all the work or intelligence that also Pavel was talking about. The IT workforce also is changing all the time. So in blue you have the core group of practitioners, so you see that it's increasing and the proportion is increasing. But what is most important to see here is that the part on management, architecture analysis, so the the top of the pyramid is increasing even faster, while there are some jobs which are basically, I would say, easily automated that are disappearing. So this is where here there is a particular challenge to keep up with the skills and increase the knowledge and competence. And by the way, we had in the past this analysis per country, and it's striking to see that in some countries, especially the more in the north, they are even stronger in this top of the pyramid, which is where, of course, the added value is mostly located.